Very emotional. We just did One Piece chapter 1000. And if you know, like, I'm a big One Piece fan, I've been reading for 20 years. So chapter 1000 was very emotional. So yeah, I'm getting off that hype from that. Honestly, I mean, obviously I like them too, but it's like, man, it's just hard, right? It's hard because I mean, I can't speak anymore. No, but I've been doing One Piece before. I'm reading One Piece my whole life, right? If it's more half my life at least. Yeah, so it's just like, wow, One Piece. It felt very, very emotional, honestly. So anyway, that's why I have some of the One Piece figures behind me, right? All my like this and gender bender Luffy and so on. As I mentioned in that video though, I have ordered this huge radio figure, like this gigantic radio figure. So I hope that was gonna happen, but whatever. I digress. Anyway, GABI now though. So I wanna watch some GABI now. Hopefully, we saw this episode preview. It's a little GABI ride. GABI getting attacked by ice cream. So I was like, oh man, GABI. So that's gonna be a good episode, right? I just realized I forgot about the timer, so let's fix that. Again, hope everyone had a good Christmas, right? I was coming back from Christmas now. Spent time with the family and so on. Something rusty here. There we go. So, no, but I was listening. I am quite exhausted, right? I've been, hanging with the family, that can be, right? It's like my dad is like, yeah, I'm gonna buy a new house again. And I'm like, yeah, great, Dad. Throwing my father in the bus. No, but it's like, this is not a video. My father, he buys real estate sometimes, so I had to sit. But I was sitting with my father, and he's talking about buying something, and I was like, oh yeah, and he kind of goes on and on with that for like hours. And I'm like, yes, just buy it. Stop involving me in this crap. I want to go and watch some anime. But yes, Pieck is really best good. I like GABI too, right? But Pieck is expected by Pieck. No, but Pieck is a really good character. You can see more of Pieck as one. But anyway, let's start watching it. I really want to watch Titan watch that tomorrow. We're gonna watch all the animes and so on, right? Some manga I haven't done since Christmas, right? Like the Final Dinosaur, and of course next season we have the arguably the best anime season ever, right? I was saying that again before it starts. Next season is crazy, right? We have L Zero, Dr. Stone, Promised Neverland, of course like a Titan. And so on, right? Black Clover, Spade Arc. So it's like next season is like crazy. Really crazy. Anyway, now let's watch Attack on Titan. Finally. 3, 2, 1, and go. It's actually gonna be the first time I watched it with subs in like 4 years, I think. Because I was like, well, I can might as well watch with subs then. I haven't seen Attack on Titan with subtitles in at least 3 years. Probably something like that. It's the first time. This is weird now. I was like, I'm gonna watch it with subs. Let's do it. Mr. Kruger, eh? Yeah, it's kind of an interesting name there. The voice is on. Using the poor innocent Falco to send his message. Hey, Falco, can you send my mail? It's from my family, like my stepsister and adopted sister that she is, yeah. So on. It was for like my best friend. So look at Falco, he looks so happy, he looks so proud of delivering his mail. Look at the opening at that, so yeah. Poor Falco, he looks so happy too. He's like, oh, I'm doing nice favors. It's like, oh, that poor boy. That poor boy. Here we go, nuclear marley propaganda. And I was saying this thing, guys, talking about the family. So I spent some time now with some of my family members, right? And Jesus Christ, I've seen so many history programs this week. Thing is that my grandfather was a history professor and math professor. So now when I was spending some time with the family, I feel like almost every night I've been watching this, just yesterday. I sat with my brother and so on, right? And we watched this documentary about the 1st battalion in World War One, and then this World War Two thing, and then we watched this documentary about this thing and so on. So seriously, I've probably seen I think 20 documentaries this week now about World War One and Two mostly. So it feels like I'm very into this Marley World War One stuff. I'm not even joking. So many history stuff with my family. But I like history too, don't get me wrong, I like history too, right? My grandfather taught me history. I'm a huge history buff myself, so don't get me wrong, right? But I was reading now, like, here's the Marley propaganda video. I'm like, oh yeah, I spent my whole weekend watching propaganda videos about history. Holy shit. Here we go. Oh, no, but really, like, oh my god, I've seen so much World War I documentaries this week. That's my Christmas. I was like, oh yeah, another documentary. We actually did watch what's called Soul yesterday. Yeah, my sister wanted to watch Disney. Yeah. She's a Disney fan, right? So, well, here we go. First time we see the Tiber family, the traitors. Damn traitors. And some children, I guess, screaming in the background. Yeah, it was his family and that. Yeah, there we go, yeah. There's some annoying children in the background there. Look at them, damn demons. Who's doing his voice? Oh, but I was like, who's doing Tiber's voice? Yeah, the War Titan is among us. It's among us! It's like, damn it, come on, you know the purpose. Someone is hiding the War Titan power. You know it is on purpose, damn translators. Yeah, I haven't seen the Titan with subtitles in years. And immediately, like, you always do this weird reference. They're like, it's someone among us. Come on, you know it's on purpose. His voice is so familiar now. I hate it when it happens. When I recognize a voice actor, I recognize his voice actor, but I don't recognize it enough to be like, oh, it's him. I'm like, you know. It's not like Gabi that's clearly voiced by, Genki Yotsuba and someone. Urikawa. I just love that she's doing Gabi. Like, one of the most Genki voice actors is doing Gabi. The Genki war criminal. It's like, yeah, come on, it's awesome. It's awesome. I can't wait for more Gabi. But his voice, oh my god. I actually really like Marley. He's a very good character. He's probably the best Marley character. But the most human Marley character, I would say. But he's kind of like, like he's like, I don't want to have war. He's like, he's a military guy. He's like, I don't want to have unnecessary wars forever, right? And he actually doesn't really hate the LDS. He's kind of like, I can see them having emotions. So he's kind of like, I would say he's the best written Marley character. That feels like an actual general. It's like, I like war, but I don't like it that much. He's like, maybe we should do something else. He's an interesting character. I would say he's the best written character of the Marleys. Yeah, so Tiber's crazy plan here. He wants to be kind of, I guess, the symbol. Yeah, symbol of the Marleys. But Maggot is a very interesting character. Ooh. Oh, there's gonna be a peak scene. Best girl peak. Dude! Best girl peak scene. Oh! Asset scene! Fan service! Oh my god. Fan service peak scene! Yeah, she's so used to going on a 4. Oh, yes! Oh man. Oh, that's good. That's good. It's all I'm here for. We can turn off the lives. We don't need to rant anymore. We did what we got. Okay, Gabi's coming soon. Yeah. No, I need the Gabi scenes. But there we go. There we go. Some fans of Pieck there. Oh yeah. So of course Reiner knows, the island. Pretty good. But he's probably like Madagascar. That. Yeah. Still haven't revealed the world map, but we have seen the world map. They did reveal it 2 episodes ago again. There, it's kind of like upside down world or something. Paradise is probably like Madagascar, something like that. Something like that. I guess it could be no, but the size though it had to be that. No, whatever. Yeah, so that plan is so crazy. Why did they send 4 children with the powers to the Paradise Island to fight the... It didn't make any sense. That's one weird thing though. They're sending these kids to fight the whole paradise and... My god, Gabi's losing. Oh my god, what is this? He will never surpass Gabi. Come on, Gabi's too. You're always like, Gabi's perfect. He can't beat her. Like, the whole story, like, they're like, no, nothing can defeat Gabi. She's the ultimate character. They're like, no. See, you think Falco's gonna win? See, look at Gabi. Like, they have said there's no trust in Falco. They're like, no. Gabi's gonna be. Gabi is the ultimate character. Look at her. Gabi's so angry now. You beat me once, but I am best girl. Exactly. I am gonna be the one killing everyone. Exactly, Gabi. You gotta do better, Gabi. Ooh. He doesn't wants to protect her. Come on. He has the power of love, though. But actually, in that case, though, she's already honorable because they have Reiner in her family. So I don't know if she... Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. See, it's love. Who wouldn't love Gabi? He totally said it. Even the guard's like, oh man, he likes you. Of course, Gabi doesn't get it. Oh, of course he doesn't. She's perfect except when it comes to love. Of course, she doesn't get it. Yes, I love his guard. It's like, come on, Gabi, come on. Oh, come on. That scene was great. I love even the guards. They're kind of like, they kind of don't like the aliens, right? Obviously, the guards also doesn't like them, but even the guards are like, come on, this is a cute love scene. Come on, Gabi. Oh, that was beautiful. That was beautiful. Poor Falco. I mean, he's clearly in love with Gabi. That was pretty obvious, but no, it's very obvious. Who wouldn't be in love with Gabi? She's the perfect woman. Come on. She's best at everything. As the old guy said, Gabi's best at everything. Oh my god. Yeah, grow big like big shit. You're gonna grow big like Onishan, right? Gonna eat all the food. Yeah, setting up the Tiber's plan here. Festival. Ooh. Oh man, I can't wait. It's gonna be the ice cream scene. I saw it in preview last week. What is kid, man? Who turned this? He's a military guy. Just threw trash on the ground. That guy will definitely not be a warrior, man. He threw freaking trash on the ground, man. He's in the military. He has no discipline, man. That guy, he's probably gonna die, right? He deserves, yeah, that's like death penalty, man. Man, Gabi doesn't get it. Man, she goes for the One Piece strategy. You gotta smile. Yeah. Stop being who you are. It's like, but I am this. No, it's like, change your personality. I mean, yeah, I am kawaii. Come on. This is why I love Gabi so much. Look at her. It's always like, I'm the best character ever. Oh, man, this is why you gotta love Gabi. She's like, oh my god, she's so incredibly smart. Oh, I love the voice actor. She's perfectly fitting for this, Genki smiles of Gabi. Oh, I'm the perfect woman. Yeah, come on. Oh. Yeah, this is weird political drama with how the Tiburon So they're kind of being controlled by an alien anyway, if they're more or less. Yeah, it's a weird thing going on there with the whole... Who is his goddamn voice actor? I recognize it, but I cannot put it who it is. I'm gonna have it out after the episode. I just cannot figure out. So now in my brain, I'm just like, I'm just like, who is he, right? I can't stop thinking about it. Maybe it's gonna be someone very famous, and I'm gonna be embarrassed. I can't figure it out. Who it's gonna be like? I kind of hope it's someone not famous now. Then, so obviously his name is Kruger, like the. Like the previous people that was named Kruger. Yeah, it's like, wait a minute, his name is Kruger? Like, poor Falco though, is being so used here by Kruger. By Mr. Kruger. And then the baseball mitten there, of course, like, the other people with baseball. They skipped over that flashback a bit though. I gotta advance forward. Yeah, interesting points of words there. Yeah, I gotta go forward. So not so this sensei here, the doctor also has a red. He's a red marley, right? Yeah, he's a honorable marley. Oh man, this is a very interesting here. Oof, I'm getting goosebumps. This is a very interesting scene here. Yeah, I am Jäger. Jägaren, yeah. Jäger. Yeah, and I'm Kruger. So, yeah, nice to meet you, boy. Yeah, this is like, man, this is a good scene where this is like, oh, I'm this guy. Oh, I see. This is my name. Do you recognize his name? It's like, yeah. So I have more in Europe, but of course, Jäger. Yes, restoration. And of course, Jäger would know a lot about the rebels, rebel scums. Yeah. It's a very interesting scene because you really feel like, that Yi-san here, the grandpa here, would be like, I recognize that he might know, right? He's like, well, Mr. Kruger, as like, yeah. You really wonder if he figures out, right? He's like, well, obviously. But your family. Oh, here we go. Yeah, the day my son took in it, and the dogs happened. And obviously, remember that, of course. Just like his own, they're both doctors. But he's crazy though, but. Oh, yeah. But it's like a really good scene, of course, it's like, obviously. And, his son is the doctor with him and so on. He's just crazy. Or is he crazy? But there's a very interesting scene. Because obviously he's like... You have to question, right, if he like, in the clearance there, because by the viewport, but they have to question that if his mind got more clear seeing Mr. Kruger and was like, hey, Kruger, you look very similar to my son, and that maybe his mind was like, oh, interesting, right? So it's that thing there is it's interesting there if he turned into like a more of a lucid state, whatever you call it, where he's just like, yes, I remember how my son and my daughter and like that whole thing, right? But yeah. It's not have to be some kind of perfect servants or whatever. Ooh. It's too introduction. Yeah. Yes, she's a Japanese lady. Japanese. But clearly she has a kimono, so now introducing, you know, Japanese people here in the world of Attack on Titan. Here we go. She's an Easterner. So, yeah, Hizuru. Come on, it's Japan! Yeah, you should throw that immediately. She's clearly Japanese. Well, I mean, you know, Attack on Titan Japanese. She's clearly from... she's from Wano. There we go. She's another name for Japan. Come on, she's from Wano or something. Yeah, now it's like people from all different countries. But that woman is clearly from Wano. Come on, she has a kimono and everything. So it's like, you know, represent different kind of countries, right? Existing here, roughly around like World War I time, right? It's like 1920, something like that. I feel Titan taking place kinda after World War One, between WV2 and WV1 ones, like 20 or 30s, right? Something like that. The tech is kind of like a mixture of World War One and World War Two. Yes, a great joke. Yes, Willy! So everyone loves Willy, right? He's the popular guy, he's the hot guy, right? Look at him, blonde eyes, blue eyes, yeah. The perfect Swedish guy. Come on. If I shaved, I probably honestly would look similar to him. We're throwing it out there. We have kind of the same hair, we have the same eyes, yeah. Like if I shaved, got rid of the beard, I would probably look similar to him. He's supposed to be probably like, you know... I mean, he's supposed to be like German or Scandinavian, right? I mean, seriously, don't they have kind of the same hair? I mean, come on, like if I shaved and I got the hair, yeah, like come on. I'm a little just blonder than me, but because I'm old, I'm grey hair. Yeah, I lost my hair color, but I mean, in that story with tightening, it's very similar to like Seyfried and so on. Yeah, the whole storyline of the famous Marley hero is quite reminiscing of typical German and general Scandinavian folklore of like the different, you know, Siegfried and that kind of stuff. So it's very similar to typical, I would say, you know, yeah, Indo-German, yeah, Germanic people storyline. It's very Germanic. I mean, obviously, I thought about an old review. The whole, you know, 9 Titan, 9 worlds, right? It's all about, you know, Norse mythology. So I was surprised that the hero is also very like Norse mythology-ish, right? Oh, here we go. Oh my god, it's ice cream scene! Yeah, smack her with, oh my god, festival time! It's GABI festival time! I don't know, the money or something? I guess Uncle Reiner has to pay. yeah, great scene! Oh, look at GABI, she's so happy. I guess poor Uncle Reiner is like, I gotta pay. I mean, he also deleted stuff anyway. He's like, oh man, no, she's like, I don't know. She's eating too much food, I guess. Or something. It's like, oh, that scene was great. Yeah, we see Reiner. It's like, my wallet, I'm dying here in the background. Oh, look at GABI. She's so happy. She's euphoric. Oh, something's about to change. You don't say, GABI. Okay, so I've heard people really tweeted me and so on, right, of course. After ending credits gonna be big. It's probably gonna confirm. Probably. Yeah, 4 minutes left there. Whew. But I definitely want to go back to Ji-san's scene. It's a very interesting scene, I think, in the report. I love Reiner though. But it was great. Everyone's happy. You know, GABI and so on. They're happy eating the ice cream and pizza, right? And Reiner standing there being like, oh, can you please stop eating? Yeah, I was like, God damn it, all my money. That was nice. Okay, here we go. After ending credit scene. It's gonna be big, right? It's gonna... Okay, it's the theater thing. Like Zeke. And yeah, where's Falco? Oh yeah, Falco's like, I'm gonna go to my friend! But yeah, next episode's gonna be crazy. And what is a delay? I wonder if it's a delay. If you can check it for a review, but I wonder if next week has a delay for the matter. Given that it's like, you know, New Year's Eve and so on. I don't know. I'll check it out afterwards. But it's a long scene here after the ending credits. Yeah, long scene here after the credits. But man, this scene here, I'm getting goosebumps. Like, come on, Reiner, let's go! It's gonna be fun! It's gonna be great, Reiner! Oh, poor Reiner. You know, Reiner and suffering. What else goes together? I have this great friend down here! Here we go. Finally. He's finally being... It's been 4 years, Reiner! Finally, the NANI scene. Eren. Finally! It's so obvious. it's finally said! God damn it! We can finally talk about it. It's clearly Eren! Oh my god. Oh my god, that's so nice to have it finally being said. It's so nice that it finally being said. Because it's so clearly Eren, right? But it's so goddamn clearly Eren. So it's nice to having it finally. Oh, it's Eren. The trailer is like, Eren! Yes, we finally have it. Because, I don't know, I mean, I've been kind of like moving around and I had some comments last week and about, oh, how can he not see that it's Eren? And I was like, I mean, I know it's Eren. I just don't want to like spoil it. So I've been like, not saying it. So it's nice. It's nice fun having it. Especially with the grandpa scene earlier. I mean, meets the grandpa. That was like, come on, it's clearly Eren. And his name is like Kruger. And the other guy is like Jäger. And they're doing the whole, you know, thing, right? But yeah. And of course we're gonna watch Nana tomorrow. Yeah, of course we're gonna watch Nana tomorrow for that matter. I'm just, you know, getting back on the animes here after Christmas. Yeah, so we're watching the final of Nana tomorrow for that matter. Of course, I really want to see. I was thinking immediately, right, before we get to review it. Nana, you know, it's kind of like had its downturns, and now I like Nana more than I did previous because Nana now is maybe turning into the good side with Mishuru and so on. So I'm quite excited to see Nana's final episode tomorrow, and I probably will read the manga and do a reaction of the manga, probably so see how it ends. But yeah, tomorrow we're gonna get back into some other stuff. But anyway, let's review the episode. I really liked the grandpa scene. Yeah, on the bench there. And then grandpa goes all crazy, right? But it's interesting because he seems to be not crazy, and might because he recognized his, he looks like his son, right? So we had a good scene there. He's found a good grandpa scene. And thinks about his daughter, of course, blaming his son for his daughter's death, of course, as we know. Whatever. This scene here then, he looks at the grandpa. But it's an interesting scene. It's an interesting scene, I think, definitely. Where he's like, hey, grandpa. But yeah, let's review the episode. Sit myself down a bit better. Still hyped since the One Piece reaction. So okay, let's review the episode. It's Eren! That probably everyone already figured out. Right? I think in the anime, talk about it first. I think in the anime it is much more clear, just from the voice alone. Like it's you know the voice acting, much makes it more clear. I think at the end of the last episode also made it more clear because kind of ended on facing Eren there. So it was like here's Eren, it's clearly Eren, and so on, right? And then we have this in here when he's like, oh, you know, it's my name is Kruger, like of course with his father, right? And Attack Titan and so on, so we know why the name Kruger makes sense, right? So it's all of that made it more clear. And one thing though, which I want to say at first, is that it's also the pacing, I believe. The pacing itself, right? Because they have clearly cut a lot of content here. You can argue if it's good or bad, but they have cut a lot of content from the manga during these episodes until the Eren reveal. So if you actually read the manga for this part, the manga took a lot longer time to actually reveal it was Eren, right? Because in the manga, it was more flashback, it was more on Bernholt, it was more on Annie, it was more on Marcel. The Ymir, she didn't get much more flashback. It was a little bit of Ymir in the manga, not much more than anime, basically nothing. And, you know, more Gabi, more Falco and so on, right? So they had, and you know, Reiner's mom and so on, right? Miss Braun and so on. So they had more of that stuff, right? And was less of these Mr. Kruger scenes. So in the manga, it's a lot more like, that's probably Eren, but he's kind of like there on the side, and he spends so much more time with other characters. So people had time to kind of, you know, theorize this was Eren for a long time, right? Here in the anime, they kind of removed half the chapters. They kind of cut away half the content, right? And a lot more Eren, and then he was kind of, it's Eren. So, yeah, I feel it was, I think honestly, less impactful here in the anime. A lot actually less impactful. Because in the manga then it was built up a lot more subtle, right? It took a longer time, and then it was, everyone probably, I feel, guessed it was Eren anyway in the manga, right? But it wasn't as clear, and there was definitely a lot more other storylines happening on the sideline before we got to Eren. But the problem though, of course, with these chapters here, that was the anime, the 4 episodes adopted, is that in the manga, that was again, you know, a lot slower pacing, right? A lot more stuff there, and I think, or at least in my knowledge and so on, I think this is very true, is that it was the least popular chapters ever in the manga. Like the whole, here's Gabi, she's the main character now. It's a lot more than in the manga, right? Gabi and Reiner so being focused on Falco a bit. So that part of the manga was very unpopular, not just because Gabi is Gabi, but generally, I mean, it was like the episode 1 here had Jean, right? My favorite character, right? My absolute favorite character. I love Jean, right? I love Jean so much. I think he's by far the best written character. By far the best written character. So they showed Jean in episode 1, and I was like, Jean, my boy Jean, right? So they showed Jean, for example, in episode 1. In the manga, you didn't see Jean until like chapter 10 or whatever. Yeah, Jean is supposed to appear until like way later, right? So they've clearly, I think they clearly known here that they have to like, they redid it, right? Cut away half the storyline and was like, let's show Eren a lot more focused, so people won't be like, where's Eren? Because yeah, in the manga it was like literally like months, right? Like 5, 6, 7 months, I don't know, like 10 months without Eren, or at least something like that, so more than that, and Jean and so on. So it's very, very different. It's very, very different, yeah, because it's a monthly manga, right? And they didn't do it. I can't remember exactly now that I don't remember exactly, but it's probably something like 5, 6 chapters until you see Kruger, and then it's a lot less obvious that it's Eren in the manga. So it was probably like, yeah, a long bit in there until that scene with Eren and then Tibir and so way later. So that's interesting. I pointed out from a different aspect here. Because as I said, episode 1 in my episode 1 review, I really feel that it's pretty clear that this is honestly exactly, I would say, what I expected, right? They will cut away so much content of the Marleys and just go back to Eren again, right? Because no one, I should say no one, but it was very unpopular. The only part wasn't very popular. He's like, oh, it's Eren. You like Eren? Come on, Eren's your favorite character. It's kind of like that. But anyway, let's review. I want to say this first. I think I have a very interesting difference here. And honestly, if I may be like that, right? Well, as I called it, right? I called it that they were going to cut away so much content from the Marley side, right? Because it wasn't very popular, and it was just kind of strange how much it was on like Reiner and Gabi, and so much on them in the manga. So here is a lot more condensed, right, into back to Eren. But anyway, let's talk about this in here. I think it's a great scene, right? We have Grandpa now covering his face of cast, but yeah, Grandpa, of course. Grandpa Jaeger, right? Oh, I say Jaeger for some reason, speaking English, but Jäger. It's a German name or a Swedish name, right? So it's pronounced Jag. Yeah, the ass sound, right? So it's jägare in Swedish, and in German it's like jägare. So yeah, which means hunter for that matter, if anyone cares. So it kind of fits into the Attack on Titan, right? Yeah, he's Attack on Titan, right? So yeah, jäger means hunter, right? Kruger, also a very German name, or that's something else. It's a bird. But anyway, so this is of course Grisa's father, right? And of course Aaron's grandpa. So I think this is probably my favorite scene, ignoring all the Gabi stuff, because yeah, it's interesting scene here. He meets his grandpa, and it felt like grandpa. It's a very interesting scene. Of course, it's never been explained what it means, right? But it feels like grandpa in this scene is kinda aware that it is his grandson, or he looks like his son, right? And he's like getting, talking to Aaron, and he's like, hey boy, you remind me of my son, this doctor Grisha that I kind of threw out because he's killed his sister and he turned crazy and joined the rebels, and I didn't want to be a rebel. I loved the marleys, right? Because of course, remember his father, or Grisha's father, or Aaron's grandpa then, right? Grandpa Jisan here. He was, of course, a Marley, what do you call it? I don't know, Marley supporter or whatever. Yeah, he liked the Mars. He wanted to be with the Mars. He didn't want to, betray them or join the, the paradise or right. So he, of course, blamed his son, right, for his daughter's death, which is arguably is his son's fault. Indirectly, of course, he was. That is true, though. I mean, obviously, Grisha did not kill his sister, but he clearly took his sister outside the the restriction or whatever, right? Indirectly caused her death. It's true, though, right? But anyway, so that happened, and then of course, he went into hating his son, right? And then he raised his in Sikh, and then made his grandson, and kind of raised him instead. And then I guess he lost it afterwards and went crazy, and they put him into this what's called mental hospital. Hispa, I would call it hospice. Hispan. What is it in German? I think it's something similar in German. Because in Swedish it's called it's like a slang for it, but you usually call it hispan or something when you throw your grandpa into kind of a mental place. Hospice in English. So I think it's something similar in German too, if I remember correctly. Something like that. But I mean, obviously, as I talked about earlier in many interviews, of course, it's very German, World War II, I think, and so on, right? Of course, the names Jäger is a German or Swedish name and so on, right? And Kruger and also a German and Swedish name and so on. But anyway, yeah. So it's Hispan, I would call it, and I think it's interesting because it feels like he is kind of getting a clear vision, right? Which probably means that he does recognize that Aaron looks a lot like his father, like a lot. Like there's probably a thing there, and the thing is that. And as I mentioned earlier here, when you read this, of course I'm doing like comparison here, an anime manga review here, but when you read this chapter, it was much more interesting, honestly, in my opinion, because it wasn't as clear. This was Aaron. It wasn't as obvious. So when you had this in the manga, you were like, why would Grandpa Jäger? Why would he know this is Aaron? Yeah, it was much more clear. He was like, wait a minute, why is Grandpa Aaron, Aaron's grandpa, so into Mr. Kruger? It has to be Aaron, right? So yeah, in the manga, it's a lot more like, well, that is clearly Aaron then, based on being grandpa and so on. Here, I felt watching the anime, I think a lot of people are probably going to be like, well, he's clearly recognized that he's grandson, right? So I think it's constantly a different perspective there. I don't know what you got in the comment below. Yeah, it's kind of like, But anyway, it's a good scene. And, then we go into, of course, a lot of Gabi-licious episode. I like when Gabi, that's it, I love them. I'm doing it for you, Gabi! And even the guards are like, come on, man, he likes you. And Gabi's like, why would you do it if you like me? Stop. That's Gabi-licious. I love this scene. Gabi is so perfect at everything, except just basic common sense, right? I mean, it's so clear that poor Falco likes her, and she's like, why would you do it if he likes me? I don't understand. And everyone's like, oh, god damn it. That was beautiful. And of course, I mentioned earlier, Love and Reiner was like having to pay for pizza, ice cream, and so on. That's a good part. And otherwise, the episode now introduces Japan, or Hirusen, or Van, or whatever, right? So introducing Japan. I don't know, one guy is clearly like in Turkish. like an clearly some kind of. I mean, the anime is taking place roughly, as I mentioned earlier, like World War II, to World War One, in the middle, kind of in the 30 or 20 side, something like that, right? So maybe somewhere around, like the revolution in Turkey and so on. So you kind of see the clothing there looks kind of like the. I mean, the clothing the Turkish man had, I would probably date it something like 1918, 1919, right? In that clothing. I mean, the woman is wearing like a classic Japanese kimono, so that's kind of like still used today in Japan, so a little bit hard to date, right? But it's basically that, of course, this episode here shows that the Marley has all the other countries, right, as their allies or potentially their enemies, right, from different empires or countries, and it's kind of like the clothing is roughly 1920s or maybe a little. It depends. It's a little random, right? But it's kind of like supposed to be early 20th century, right? World War One, World War Two, kind of in the some mixture of that, right? But it's interesting though. Even if the episode doesn't really explain that, oh, this guy is from this country and he's from that country, the episode still kind of clearly points out that, well, here's a lot of this stuff, right? Like, it clearly is basically our world, and they have all these different countries and so on. One thing, though, which they actually focus more on a little bit is how the Marley are fighting. Maybe that's coming from my love for, like, tactical role-playing games, like FFT and these kind of games, and, like, Fire Emblem and so on, right? But I love those storylines where you're like, oh, here's the military of Marley, and this many guys, this guy, yeah. I would like a little bit where if they actually explain, like, here's Marley, right? And down here is like Hisarud, and down here is like this country, and they have these armies, and this and this. They don't have to focus that much on that, but a little bit like a world building of the armies and military powers and allies and this thing and enemies and rivals and pacts and so on. I think because if you look at my historic aspect, I mentioned earlier during the reaction part, I have spent most this Christmas weekend here now watching, not most, but a lot of it, watching a lot of historical documentaries, right, with my family, because, man, they watched a lot of historical documentaries with my family. As I mentioned earlier, in the reaction, my grandfather was a history professor as well, and a math professor. So it's kind of a thing there, and I'm into that as well and so on. So I don't know, but when I look at the Marleys, it's obviously World War One and World War Two, right? I would love a little bit of, like, let's just talk about all the military powers and the technology and the alliance, and so I would like that, but maybe that's just me, right? But I would like a little bit. It doesn't have to be actually super important. It's like a few minutes of, like, explaining the world and all the different pacts and the facets. Because one thing then, from a historical aspect, the anime is obviously it's fiction, but it's based on, like, World War One and Two, right? A huge thing in history is that the reason why this turned into a World War One, right, is that Austria, at the time then, were allied with everyone, or enemy with everyone. Basically, the Sarajevo thing, right, turned into Austria going into war. Austria-Hungary, I say exactly, but Austria is in the union with Hungary, and they go into war. And when they enter the war, right, they have, like, so many allies, and the other countries have so many allies too. So that's why World War One started, right? Because when this country entered the war in Austria, then they entered the war, and they had like 40 allies, and then the other allies, and everyone suddenly in the war right there. So that's kind of the reason why, right? Because at the time in history, it was so many. Oh, this guy is married to that guy, and that's his cousin, and that thing, and that thing, and that thing, right? And everyone is so connected, and it feels like in the Tiber scene, when he's introducing, he's a friend with this guy, and Tiber is this guy, and this woman, and so on. It feels like they're setting up, in my opinion at least. And again, remember here, I mentioned that earlier, Tiber, right? Tiber, I guess. I probably pronounce his name as like Tiber, or like Tibar, or something like that. Anyway, he's clearly supposed to be somehow, like, German, or maybe Swedish, or whatever, right? And again, then, Austria was in the power of the Holy Roman Empire before this thing then. So Austria was actually the German power state, not actually Germany. It didn't exist before that. So in history then, quick lesson here, right? In history, in the past, Germany didn't exist. Instead, you had different princes different crown princes and like what they call elective princess, yeah, in the whole Roman Empire that was primarily controlled by Austria. So Austria then, right, had all this power, right, mainly with personal unions and marriage and voting and so on in this German like city-state combination, right. And the scene there with Tybur when he is like, "Hey my bro, hey my girl," that kind of thing. That's a very, in my opinion, it feels like a very like an Austria court thing, right? An Austria royal court, when he's like, "Yeah, I'm friends with everyone, and I got all these allies and all these pacts and all my cousins and family." Yeah, it's a lot of feeling like I think so. At least, in my opinion, from a historical aspect, that scene to me is a lot like an Austria royal court scene, right? Much more than the German royal court scene. That would then lead into, of course, World War One, right? And again, as I mentioned earlier, he looks, of course, very Scandinavian more than German, but still, German, etc. If I shave my beard, I would probably look a lot like him. Blonde, yeah, blue eyes, long blonde hair. I always look very similar, generally, to him as a character, right? And of course, Kruger and Jäger and so on. Yeah, it's very German, Austria, and so on. So that's what I think more, I suppose. So that's for me a historical guy, right? As a history buff. At the time of World War One, the important country, well, of course, Germany was very important too. It was much more like Austria was the big player in the beginning, yeah, and of course also German language country, right? And before that, Austria was a lot more bigger than Germany, massively. I mean, Germany is history, yeah. Austria was the power player of the German people, right? Which are obviously the Marleys. So yeah, if you haven't gotten to that, I said every time, but obviously the Marleys are Germans. Like, come on. So it's but as a side note, from a historical aspect there, right? I think it's important to think about that I would say that Tybur is supposed to be Austrian German, right? Like German people, right? All these Germany. But you also have, Swiss, and you have other countries too, like we had Böhmen and so on, right? So also German people at the time, right? So down, yeah. So after that, so I think more like that. In my opinion, I would say I would put him as like an Austrian royal crown prince, right? Like an elected prince of Austria. Is probably I would put Tybur more than being like a German, like a big count of Germany, whatever. I put him more Austria. But anyway. Historical buff there, yeah. I'm broken because I watched so much documentaries too. I was like, God damn it, my head. Anyway, that's kind of an interesting point here. And as I mentioned earlier too, I think again the Ishiyama, he loves the Scandinavian, the Norse mythology, and the German thing, right? Because the story of the heroic thing that slay the giant and this thing, right? It is very similar to like Siegfried and other German myths, right? And also Scandinavian myths, right? Norse mythology myths with this kind of hero and the name, and even the statue is similar to a statue in not my hometown, but in the city next to my hometown, and so on. It's very, very similar to that. And of course, I always say, right, when you look at the 9 Titans, why is it 9 Titans? I say it every time, because there are 9 worlds in Norse mythology, right? It's 9 worlds of mythology. Why is it they have 1 power each? Every power is supposed to represent, right? Of course, the planes of, the Yggdrasil, you have the 9 different worlds, now that it connects, and have the pathing and all that. It is clearly that Titan is based a lot about Norse mythology, right? So there's no surprise to me that the Tybur family, heroic Marley story, even the statue itself, looks to me at least incredibly Norse mythology, Scandinavian, and also Germany, then mostly North Germany. And like it's literally a statue in my hometown, or not hometown, next to my hometown, that is almost exactly the same, right? But instead of being a giant, it's a dragon, right? Instead of being a giant head, right? It's a dragon head, but it's incredibly similar to that. So you can find the statues in Germany and Sweden and so on. It's very, very similar to the statue in this episode. So I think that's very important to think about. Or very important, but I mean, I think the reference, right, is very clear there, and combine that with the North 9 world and so on, right? I think it's a lot of Ishiyama taking a lot from that, from like North mythology and so on. So if you want to do that for them, I said that a few years ago, but I think it's pretty clear that if you want to do theory crafting, right, on Attack on Titan, I will look into a lot of Norse mythology and see like where would this go from similar stories, right? generally the Jutuns, right? Yeah, the giants, Jutun or Juttar, and so on, right? And Asir and Isir and all that stuff, right? It's very similar, and of course Yggdrasil and stuff like that, and the path thing, yeah, it's very similar. So if you want to do some smart video like that, yeah, you'll be like, well, I look at the Norse mythology. But that's what I think about the hero story. More seriously, there's a statue. I saw it last year. It's incredibly similar to that statue. I mean, that's the same statue. It's the same. We replaced the giant head with the dragon head. It's the exact same thing, right? It's a pretty classic core statue with like a hero. But even the clothes are the same thing. Because the clothes are kind of that classic heroic clothing. It's like a mixture of that kind of like the, I guess like the medieval clothing style, yeah. Like 1100, 1000 around there, 10th, 11th century clothing style and so on. But anyway, guys, that's like that. Yeah, I history buff here. But I felt that it's very similar, right? To I see him as the Austrian royal courting. And it's interesting to think about from history aspect. I think it is be history buff, but if you think about it, this anime is taking place in a fictional version of World War One, kind of, right? And at that time, then before the war starts, right, especially 1500 before the war starts, Austria is the power player, not Germany, which didn't even exist before a few hundred years ago. So it's like, I think it's more relevant to look at him as an Austrian royal court than a German royal court, which I think most people doesn't really matter so much. But to me, it matters a lot, from historic aspect. But anyway, guys, that's the Titan. I'm tired of episode. I have seen Yodio. I haven't seen the latest, but I have seen Yodio in the first NANI seasons, many years ago and so on. Maybe one day I'm gonna probably should pick up Legends, right? One of those shows. But anyway, guys, that's review of the Titan. Subscribe, press that like button and so on. Tomorrow then, I said that again, we can do Nana, of course. Nana Final, I want to see that. Little Black Clover, I want to see the Romeo and Juliet Final. When They Cry, I want to see. That might be airing on Thursday, I'm sure. And so on, right? So One Piece. So I'm gonna go in over tomorrow, right? Doing that stuff. And then probably on Thursday or Friday, whatever, next day, I'm gonna work on doing, talking about next season, right? Some previous stuff. I want to do a parody video of Crunchyroll. I think if Crunchyroll's out with their year 20, I want to make fun of that. Because it's always crap. I want to see if this year they might finally pick up Black Clover opening. We did so much dumb stuff with that. But I just remember last year, and I was like going to the opening list, they didn't even have Onigai Masker in their opening. I was like, no. If there's one opening you want to have here, it's freaking Dumbbell. I was like, my god. So yeah. Also happening, guys, over the weekend here. Otherwise, have a, what's it called, Christmas in English? I don't know. Mellandagar. We call it like good for mellandagar. So it's called here. And of course, New Year's Eve and so on coming up, right, guys? And of course, next is been crazy. But anyways, see you guys and have a great day. And tomorrow then, catching up with a lot of animes. That's gonna be fun. And maybe almost, I don't know how many, probably